right, people, here's a little update on that situation with the lawsuit. I did have a consultation with a lawyer. Uh, well, A, it is a legitimate lawsuit. B, after talking to him about information I have, he said it's the start of a good defense. Um, Basically, everything that he would do for me to try and get the case dismissed, thrown out, etc. Uh, Forcing Capital One to show proof, and the bank of my new card to show proof that they did make payment. Uh, and on Capital One's side, they would have to show proof that they didn't receive it. So it's basically a good defense because it's showing I'm making payment on something, and somebody somewhere along the lines is getting money for this. So it's now forcing them to show proof, or it's getting thrown out. But with that, he would also file paperwork that would make whoever the responsible party is reimburse all my attorney fees, which would mean, well, if that was the case, the whole thing would cost me nothing in the long run, and get that BS off my credit report and all that. The only bad thing is you're talking about $600 out of my pocket now that I gotta hope I get back. Or you know what? I mean, even if I don't get it back in the long run, if it gets this whole headache out of my life, I will be happy. So that's the update on that for now. Anything else develops out of it, you know, I'll keep you updated. Some other developments in that is speaking with the lawyer. If they do find one of the parties is responsible for mishandling the funds, I can actually countersue for damages. I don't know how much that would be or anything, because he basically wants to take it one step at a time. If he can get the whole thing thrown out and my legal fees reimbursed to me, hey, that's the main point. Then we don't have to go any further. But if it, like I said, if it is found that one of those banks mishandled the funds in that balance transfer, yeah, I would have a case to countersue, sue for damages. I don't know exactly what I would be able to do. That I'm sure those talks will come further if it does lead to something like that. But that's the whole plus. I'm hoping it doesn't go that far, because I really don't want to pay a second time on something that's already paid. So there you have it. Like I said, I'll keep you updated on what's going on. That's everything I got so far. Is, I mean, our basic thing right now is putting it on them. Prove it. Prove that the one bank sent it to the other, or prove that you did not get it, because one of those two parties is at fault. I'd like to take some time and answer some questions that I've been getting, and you know, this was actually something recently from a little sit-down roundtable we a few of us from GTS had. I don't know, I kind of like want to answer these questions again, because it feels like the more I watch, learn, train, etc., my answer to some of this kind of evolves. Like the first question is, what or why did you get into wrestling? I mean, I've been a fan of it since my father turned it on TV and brought me to the matches at like the high schools since I was 4 years old. I mean, you're talking about it was still territories then, so I got to see things like Bruno Sammartino, probably right after he lost shortly after he lost the belt, or a couple years after that. Bob Backlund in his prime, Tony Garea, Tito Santana, a lot of the what are the classic legends now. Um, I mean, I just saw these guys getting in the ring, these these storylines, beating the crap out of each other. Everything was settled through competition, and to be the best, you had to beat the best. That title meant everything. It was like you were on top of the world. It was like just an art display of physicality. So basically what I could say. I mean, whether it was talk, their moves in the ring, etc. It all flowed into one big storyline. Um, I just loved it, and not only that, you had, well, it was WWF, WCW, AWA, NWA. There was all these like little. They were all territories at the time. It wasn't like these big titan things that they are today. Um, like now you got the indie scene, which is great and growing. I love it because that gives so much more with the New Japan, Ring of Honor, uh, SWF, UWC, GTS. Um, there's plenty of others out there. I mean, there's ones out in the Midwest, ones out in California, etc. A lot of things that I'm seeing, and thanks to YouTube, they grow even more. Um, there's a lot of factors into that. I mean, one of the other questions I get is my all-time favorite wrestler. I mean, I do a lot of thinking on this. I look back over like the legends, the new guys. Like I take a lot of factors into account, but my overall favorite has always been Dean Malenko. I mean, he's always been booked and billed as the man of 1,000 holds and counter holds. I mean, I love that technical style of wrestling. Not granted, the high flying lucha, all that stuff is great. It puts on a show, but I mean, I like the technical stuff because I want to see kind of like the opponent being dominated. I mean that's the main thing with that. It's like, okay, I like the storylines and all that, but when it comes to the actual match to finish off a story, I want to see that domination. I want to see that ultimate win. Uh, that's why I like him. I mean, that there's plenty of others I do admire also, uh, but if I had to pick one overall, it is Dean Malenko. Um, then there was the question of favorite faction. I mean, you got everything: DX, uh, Nation of Domination, all kinds of stuff that was out there. Uh, I mean, as much as I love DX, I love them for the Attitude Era, but my overall favorite faction, and this was, I don't even know if they were calling it a faction at the time, the Freebirds, Michael Hayes, you know, basically who Shawn Michaels got his character from. I just love that old school, boom, down and dirty, get it done in the ring. You can talk smack all you want outside of the ring to lead up to everything, but in the ring, you know, they continued what they started. Like, regardless of what words there were, the action was the next part of the story. And let's see, there's also favorite tag team. Wow, this is a tough one because there were so many greats. I mean, you got the Hardys, you had Edge and Christian, DX, uh, the Rockers, Midnight Express. You know, getting into some classic stuff. Wow, tag team. I mean, I truthfully, out of all of them, I actually loved the Edge and Christian stuff. They were like two misfits who went out there and didn't care if they fit in, not. They did what they had to do. Loved their feuds with the Hardys, the Dudley Boys, another great tag team, by the way. Um, I mean, actually, now the more that I think about it, it would probably go back to the Gangsters in ECW uh, with New Jack. New Jack and them. The ECW was a total different thing. I mean, that was just glorified violence. Loved it. Glorified violence. Get it done by any means. Um, then the question comes up with the women's evolution and everything like that. What about women's wrestlers in the women's division? I mean, for me, Fabulous Moolah was the biggest start for the women's division. She was doing things before they even wanted to consider putting women on the map. I mean that she had a long run. She to me is the icon for starting all that. So she would be my overall favorite for women's division. My second all time favorite, Becky Lynch. I love the face, the heel turn, etc. You know that is, I mean, the my absolute favorite of the more modern was Lita, which hopefully she will get back in the ring and get back to what she was doing. I would love to see her against some of the new girls like Charlotte and Becky, you know, the talented ones. Even go against some powerhouses, you know, bigger powerhouses like Nia Jax, and Tamina. I mean, but my thing with picking Becky Lynch is Lita, in an interview, had once said that out of the modern era of women wrestlers, she would love to face off against either Becky Lynch or Charlotte Flair. So right there, you got an endorsement from a legend. Then like the final question I got is, what would you like to accomplish through wrestling? I want to prove that basically the little guys, the shorter guys, you know, because you got to be like 6 foot or taller by WWE standards to be like the powerhouses, the technicians, all that. Anybody under that, you're basically the high flyers, the luchas, all that, which I don't understand. I want to prove that I'm not 6 foot tall, but you know what? I can put you in those submission moves. I can put you in those technical moves. That's what I want to do and learn. I want to prove that the small guy does not have to be a high flyer to get the job done. I mean, the other thing I would like to accomplish, I just want to put on a great show. I want to have those feuds that are iconic. I want to have my name memorized in the fans' minds, whether or they love me, whether they hate me. The whole thing is I want them to remember me. And as old as I am and being a rookie, I'm getting a late start on being able to do all that, but at least I got to start. I mean, you know, the whole thing is it's my second chance. I mean, back in high school, I dabbled a little bit in backyard stuff. I mean, they said don't try this at home. We were trying it at home, which I do not suggest. But it was a short-lived little thing because, like I said, none of us were professionally trained and people were getting hurt. That is the main reason why do not try this at home. They are correct with that. But now, you know, my daughter, her fiance, basically her fiance introduced me to what is now my second chance. And you know what? It's opened up some doors to learning the right way. You know, regardless of how far I go with this, even if I just remain GTS and a couple of other little things, I will be happy because I finally got into doing something I've always wanted to do, always loved. And you know, wherever the doors lead, yes, it has opened up doors to opportunity. I don't want to make excuses or anything, but you know, I got a family life that I got to continue. I got to pay the bills, all that. But at the same time, I want to pursue a passion. It's not an easy balance. Still trying to figure out how to accomplish everything without A, losing my job, B, losing my house, all that. But it has opened up doors now. It's just a matter of figuring out a way to pursue it all. I mean, it's something I want to do, regardless of how far I go. I just hope, no matter how far I go, I've made some kind of an impact, and maybe even change the minds of some people in the company that, you know, just because we're not 6'5", 7 foot, doesn't mean we can't get the job done outside of high flying, rolling around, boom, whatever. You know, all that 3 million flip moves, whatever, blah 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 per minute. No, I want to show you can take the slow pace and get the job done, even if you're a smaller guy. It's the knowledge, gaining the knowledge to be able to do that, and put on a good show, memorable show, iconic show. Make sure anything and everything that was done, from the talk to the action, etc., sticks in the minds of the fans for as long as possible. I want to rephrase something that I said earlier, because by no means do I mean that GTS is a small company. It is not. It's a huge YouTube success. I probably should have chose better words, like smaller companies, start out companies, you know, companies that not too many people may have heard of, because that's where it's all going towards and becoming. It's not just the Titan sports anymore. The indies are rising, all that. I mean, I'm not trying to put any company down in any way, because what all these companies do, they do it for you, the fans. And that's all we want to do. We want to put on a great show for you guys and girls out there. We want you to love what we do, appreciate what we do, and remember what we do.